So let's talk about Nina Turner. I'm going to read an article here from Salon.com. It seems to be an article I might agree with, but I want to talk about Nina Turner. First of all, posting bangers on Twitter. So shout outs to Nina Turner, posting bangers. As you can see, I retweeted this banger, and I liked it. But let's read this article from Salon. Progressive Caucus goes full Pinot. I don't know about the name here. Why dumping Nina Turner is a turning point. So I want to read this article because I covered this a couple of days ago, a little bit after it happened. In the situation, I believe voting goes on, May 3rd, very soon for this. And so again, this is I am not the first one to bash the Democrats at every turn, but you gotta keep them straight in some fashion, some form or another. And the Progressive Caucus, as far as I'm concerned, the Progressive Caucus is no different than the New Democrat Caucus. As far as I'm concerned, Ro Khanna and Joe Manchin are the same person. They're irrelevant. Pramila Jayapal is garbage. She's a horrible legislator. Ro Khanna's trash. The rest of the Progressive Caucus is trash, except for those that voted against the stupid plan that they put through. In my opinion, that was the moment where it's like, it's safe to say that these people, you can just throw them in the dumpster. They're trash. Get rid of them. Fuck them in the face. Who cares? They're garbage. Just throwing that out there. But this here, right, like when you look at how the Build Back Better Act and the BIF thing worked out, right, and you see how the chips or cards landed, whatever, in that situation, this is just an obvious, anyone could see this coming, right? The idea that the Progressive Caucus would endorse Nina Turner, it's impossible, right? Because look at what they did. They showed that they are corporate stooges, right? The squad, 6 people, were the only people in the entirety of the Democratic Party who have an IQ higher than 4, right? So there you go. So I'm going to read this article because this is going to probably be stuff that I've been saying. And, fuck the Progressive Caucus. Sometimes one decision speaks volumes. And so it was when the Congressional Progressive Caucus, with 98 members in the House, recently chose to have its PAC endorse a pro-corporate moderate against the strong progressive candidate, Nina Turner. In the process, the Progressive Caucus underscored its loyalty to establishment Democrats while damaging its credibility among progressives nationwide. I'm going to go as far as to say it's not been damaged. There is no credibility in the Progressive Caucus. For anyone that has politics that are anywhere, to the left of Hillary Clinton, I'm going to be honest, a lot of people don't even like the Democrats at all, right? But the Progressive Caucus has failed every step of the way. Every single decision-making point, every single, point where, they would have to say something about it. They have failed literally at 100% of what their job is supposed to be. They're garbage. They're trash. As far as I'm concerned, fuck them all straight to hell. The endorsement of Rep. Shontel Brown against Turner in their upcoming May 3rd Democratic primary rematch came just 5 months after Brown took office. Following last year's special election in a Cleveland area House district, in late August's Democratic primary, Brown defeated Turner with the help of funding from big corporate Republican and hawkishly pro-Israel donors, as well as support from Republicans who voted for Brown in Ohio's open primary. Brown's 2 most notable national endorsers were Hillary Clinton and Jim Clyburn, the Central South Carolina Democrat. Again, isn't it interesting that Hillary Clinton, Jim Clyburn, and Republicans like Mitch McConnell all have the same goal? You ever think that that's interesting? That Pramila Jayapal is working with the Koch brother? Emphasis on brother, because there's one left. Isn't it weird that Ro Khanna has the same position as the Heritage Foundation? Isn't that a little weird? Does that make anyone here think, what the fuck's going on here? They're garbage. They're garbage. They're trash. Fuck them all straight to hell. They're garbage. It's just that simple. They're garbage. Brown is such an establishment politician that she didn't just join the Progressive Caucus, she also quickly joined the rival New Democrat Coalition, an alliance of the most corporate Democrats in the House. So let me get this straight. Okay. So she joins the New Democrat coalition, which is like the Bill Clinton third way garbage, right? Like they're the corporation, they love Israel, they're all a bunch of trash can men. And so she immediately does both sides. Now again, Chantel Brown, by the way, the reason why I wanted to point this out, this tweet that Nina Turner made today, Chantel Brown, last time when she was running, said she was talking about how much she loves transgender people. At this event, she said, "Oh, I have a dead trans friend." And while talking about their dead trans friend, Chantel Brown misgendered them several times. He, him, I feel so bad for him. I love trans women. He, him, I feel bad for him and his family, his mental illness, him. I love trans women. Him, he. Right, so again, this is the same person. Pramila Jayapal, if she's talking about trans rights or human rights, whatever that shit she wants to talk about, she loves to say that stuff too. Fuck her. Fuck her. Fuck the Progressive Caucus. In my opinion, people need to resign from the Progressive Caucus. In my opinion, the squad should resign from the Progressive Caucus. That's my opinion. This is an establishment, garbage coalition of people, and they endorsed a raging transphobe. There's nothing progressive. During a moment where the Republican Party is committing a war and genocide against transgender children, the Progressive Caucus endorsed someone who's on that side of the equation. That's unexcusable. Pramila Jayapal is garbage. She's garbage. In my opinion, again, like, if Ro Khanna endorsed Mitch McConnell, I would be like, whoa, what the fuck? In the same way that Pramila Jayapal, leading the Progressive Caucus, endorsing a transphobe, what the fuck? Pramila Jayapal is a bigoted piece of garbage. She only cares about transgender people when they're useful for her, like, way of marketing and branding herself. But when push comes to shove, fuck the trannies. That's what she says. Fuck the trannies. That's what Ro Khanna and the rest of the Progressive Caucus dipshits say. Fuck them. We don't give a shit about the fucking trannies. Unless we can get their votes, fuck them. That's what they think about us. So in my opinion, like, again, fuck them all straight to hell. By siding with Brown against Turner, the Progressive Caucus appears to be operating in the way that is the way so much of the official Washington does, as an incumbent protection racket. The endorsement brought questions to the surface that have been festering for a long time. For example, does the Progressive Caucus represent the interests of progressive constituencies to the establishment? Or does it represent the interests of the establishment to progressives? If the answer is both, then how does that work in practice? Now, that's a good fucking question. Unless such questions are answered with clarity, illusions will undermine the efforts of grassroots progressives to address situations accurately and organize effectively. While the caucus's endorsement of Brown is a bellwether event, it is not an isolated incident. After a long history of backing down rather than using its leverage, as when it abandoned its demand back in 2009. In my opinion, the Progressive Caucus, like, they did this big rebranding effort in 2018 to 2020. Before that, like, the Progressive Caucus has always been a tool, right, to try to just, like, kind of goat people. It's always been an establishment tool. But then again, Pramila Jayapal did this big, we're changing how the Progressive Caucus works. Remember when she became the leader, she was like, oh yes, we did everything and we're changing it and now we got teeth again. And then immediately it was proven to not be true. The Progressive Caucus appeared to wield some real clout during the early months of the Biden presidency. Most importantly, its leaders insisted that it would not support last year's bipartisan infrastructure bill unless it moved through Congress in tandem with Build Back Better, which was proposed by Biden, the President of the United States, with major input from Bernie Sanders. Build Back Better was crucial for economic and social justice, as well as for substantively addressing the climate emergency. I disagree with that. Like, substantively, now. Did it address it a little bit? Did it say, there's climate changing going on, let's put $10 into that? Maybe. But substantively, no. I'm sorry. We need a lot more money to have any substance when going against climate change. Well, fighting the effects of it by, of course, getting off of fossil fuels and so forth. But, I understand wanting to say that. For a while, it seemed the Progressive Caucus, under the leadership of Pramila Jayapal, was holding firm on the necessity of passing Build Back Better along with the infrastructure measure. That linkage was crucial because Senate obstructionist Joe Manchin badly wanted the infrastructure bill signed into law, but was hostile to Build Back Better. The Progressive Caucus leadership vowed not to back down, and then it caved, opting to waive the infrastructure bill through the House. Rep. AOC of New York was concise when she said, "I'm a no, this is bullshit." Other members of the expanded squad, including Ilhan Omar, Cori Bush, Rashida Tlaib, Jamal Bowman, and Ayanna Pressley, also voted against the standalone infrastructure measure and took plenty of abuse as a result. Of course, they were correct. They were correct. The squad saw what was coming. As a result of the caucus's surrender, the infrastructure bill got through Congress and Biden signed it on November 15th. That was 6 months ago. November 15th was 6 months ago. Do you feel old yet? Progressives immediately lost all leverage on Build Back Better, and it died. In December, RootsAction.org, which we co-founded, published an in-depth report on the Congressional Progressive Caucus, documenting that many of its members fail to support the CPC's main priorities, like Medicare for All and a Green New Deal, and that some in the caucus are just Pinos, progressive in name only. Those lawmakers obviously believe the progressive label helps them with activists and constituents in their districts, but in Washington they tend to legislate on behalf of the corporate status quo. Now, once again, Pramila Jayapal, when she became the leader of the Progressive Caucus, right, she said she was going to handle the idea of the progressive in name only folks just doing, paying the dues for the label, to mark it off of the label, right? She said she was going to handle that. She has failed. She is a failure. She is a piece of garbage. She's trash. She needs to retire, just like every single other member of the Progressive Caucus. They need to go the fuck away. They need to leave politics because they are failures. I need everyone to understand they are failures. The Democrats in charge are fucking failures, all right? The right is waging a war on democracy in this fucking country, right? All across the country, they are waging war on abortion rights. They are waging war on transgender rights. They are waging war on black rights. They are waging war on voting rights all across the country. And the best leadership we've got is the Progressive Caucus, and this is the shit that they're doing. They're garbage. Throw them out. Throw them to the curb. We don't have time for these failed fucking experiments. We don't have time. This is like a thought experiment. Like 30 years from now, like, you know how people think like, oh, well, what if Ross Perot won the election? Or, like they do these fantasies. What if, Bernie Sanders won in 20, like, I get it. In 30 years from now, we could have these what if Pramila Jayapal was the head of the Progressive Caucus? Then things would have really been fucked up. But how about instead of doing this in real life, how about she fucking retires and we get someone like AOC to lead the Progressive Caucus? Someone who actually knows what the fuck she's doing. Maybe? Anyone? Maybe? The Pino report found that 16 CPC members are also part of the ideologically corporatist New Democrat Coalition, a moderate caucus that advocates market-oriented and fiscally responsible, aka far-right fascist conservative garbage. That's what this is. The New Democrat Coalition are fascists. That's what they are. They endorse the fascists at every turn. They give the fascists all their money, and then they say, oh, please, fascists, don't kill me. Don't kill my child. And then they're going to wait until the fascists kill them and their child, and then they're going to fucking fail because they're failures. They're fucking losers. They're garbage. They're garbage. They're trash, okay? They're fucking garbage. Fuck them. Policies to solve the big economic and environmental crises of our time. Add Chantel Brown to the list of dual members. When the CPC's PAC endorsed Brown this month, it also announced its endorsement of several of the worst Pinos running for re-election, including Rep. Jimmy Panetta of California, son of former Defense Secretary and CIA Director. Again, Congressional Progressive Caucus is garbage. They're garbage. They're garbage. Pramila Jayapal Ro Khanna should not be allowed to leave their houses without having megaphones jammed into their ears. That's my opinion. First Amendment protects the freedom to peacefully assemble. I'm not saying to inflict any violence. What I'm saying is that these fucking scumbag lunatic losers should not be able to leave their house without being protested. They are trash. They are garbage. They are leeches. They are parasites. They are shit on my shoes. End of story. The report analyzed the lack of cohesion in the Progressive Caucus and cited that deficiency in asking how one of Congress's biggest caucuses did not muster the political power to get Build Back Better across the finish line. The Progressive Caucus leadership approach that gave up leverage for Build Back Better is akin to the one that just endorsed Shontel Brown against Nina Turner. Progressives around the country should take note and not forget. We can't depend on the Congressional Progressive Caucus to provide the kind of leadership we need. They must come from the grassroots. Again, the Congressional Progressive Caucus is garbage. So this was written by Jeff Cohen and Norman Solomon. I agree with this. Fuck them. Fuck them. If you choose Shontel Brown over Nina Turner, you're a transphobe. You're a bigot. You're a piece of garbage. You do not care about democracy. You do not care about minorities in this country. You are garbage. You are trash. You are fucking shit on my shoes. I know I've said it multiple times. But again, anyone who would possibly, even for a second, think of endorsing Shontel Brown over Nina Turner is nobody that should even be allowed to be called a Democrat, let alone a fucking progressive. Again, Shontel Brown, mostly funded by fascists, right? AIPAC, a fascist organization, right? Mainly sponsored by the fascists in Israel, one of our largest funders. Her second largest funders are Republican groups, open neo-Nazi terrorists who tried to destroy the U.S. government on January 6, 2021. Those are her, again, biggest funders. She is a fascist. Shontel Brown is a neo-Nazi. That's what she is. She advocates for fascism in Israel. She advocates for fascism in the United States. She supports the genocide against transgender people. She's garbage. Anyone endorsing her over Nina Turner is trash. They're just fucking stupid. They're just fucking morons. Now, again, if you're ignorant, if you don't know any better, that's one thing. But you're telling me Pramila Jayapal doesn't know any better? You're telling me Ro Khanna and the rest of these so-called progressives? What about Marie Newman? Like, do these people know any better? What about Katie Porter? Does she know it? Does any one of these so-called progressives know anything about anything? Are they fucking stupid? The answer is no, they know nothing. And yes, they are fucking stupid. Those are the answers to those questions.